What's going on, everyone, and welcome to a special edition of SpecMagShorts. I'm your guest host for today, James Moore, and in place for Phyllis Coley. And today I have a very special guest by the name of Tristian Turner. Welcome, Tristian. We appreciate you being on. Tell us a little bit about TLS Sports.
All right. Thanks for having me, James. TLS Sports is a subsidiary of TLS Talent Agency. It's a talent agency that Cicero Leak and I started several years ago, roughly 12 years ago. We were in and out of sports throughout that time, but a little over a year ago, we felt that it was time to really dive into sports full-fledged, set up something where we'd be totally focused on it. So we reached out to our longtime friend and associate who had done a lot of work with the agency as well, Chuck Stinson, to head up our sports division, because that was a conversation that we had for a few years running. So we did all the paperwork, got everything structured, launched TLS Sports officially last February. So, in a ways, it's your traditional sports agency where we look to further the careers of professional athletes in many different facets, but a little bit different as to where not just any and all professional athletes, but our focus are HBCU athletes. So, not saying that we won't work with any and everyone, because if we have a chance to really work with someone that's deserving, no matter where they went to school or anything, we're definitely going to work with them. However, our focus is definitely working with HBCUs, just because there's a lot of talent there, a lot of resources that we feel need to be tapped in and need to have the chance to have the spotlight put on them. So that's the case for TLS agency, TLS Sports, should I say.
I love it. So speaking on the topic of HBCUs, you have an event coming up in June, correct? For Hbcu Con. Can you tell me a little bit about those dates and what will be going on through that week-long event?
Yeah, sure. So Hbcu Con is a week-long event, as you mentioned, that'll be taking place at the Chris Paul Basketball Academy in Winston-Salem, North Carolina, from June 12th through June 19th. What it is a week-long skills and development camp for the top 64 men and the top 64 women in HBCU basketball. So no matter how big or small the school is, if they have the talent, they can easily receive an invite to come participate in Hbcu Con. And it just won't be on the on the court skill development. There'll be things that will be happening off the court as well. Different things that these student athletes will be able to learn and take place in, and really get some tips and insights from current and former NBA players, trainers, and coaches. And so that's something that we're really looking forward to. To culminate the week, there will be a few basketball games played at the end of the week, with a championship game played between the athletes on that Saturday, which is also Juneteenth. So that's the Hbcu Con in a nutshell.
Okay, cool. So do you plan on having the event annually, or how often do you plan on having this event?
Oh, for sure. This is the inaugural Hbcu Con. Definitely something that will take place every year. We're looking to grow it every year as well, to put a very good and reputable product on the floor and out in the space for people to be able to participate in. So this is just definitely the beginning of several.
Gotcha. So how would you rate, being that in this climate that we're in today with COVID, how would you regulate fans, and how would everything about like that come about?
Well, fortunately, we have a very good production and operations team in the Bell Group who's working with us on this project. And we're staying very close to the rules and regulations of COVID as a whole, but specifically the state of North Carolina. So as of right now, we're planning things as is. If things were to take place today, we're looking at the different structures and things we need to have in place to make sure that our event is safe and successful. And we will also structure and change that a little bit as time goes, because what we're hoping is by June, there will be some relax in some of the COVID restrictions and things like that. But the main thing is the safety of the students and participants as a whole.
Gotcha. So do you have any other events outside of basketball that'll be going on throughout the week?
Yeah, so that's a very good question. To coincide with what's happening with the basketball players, those student athletes, there will be other students invited to participate in various aspects of the program, internships that are helping with operations, all kinds of management issues, sponsorship per se, announcing, and the mass comm portion of it. So there'll be a very good opportunity for people to come in and play a part in that. And we're working with some of our potential sponsors to set up actual programs and learning development tools for those other students that come and take part in HBCU Con.
Got you. So what role does Chris Paul play in the entire event, being that it's at his academy?
Well, as of right now, he is somewhat limited as to what he can do with it being basketball season. But his team, we're working very close with them, especially those over at the academy who run the academy, to make sure everything is going smoothly. They're plugging us with various entities that we need to make this thing go. And so everyone is step in step. So I'm sure that his team is keeping him abreast. You know, June is going to be interesting because of the way the basketball season started this year. So we'll see how things are looking for him as it gets closer. But he's definitely aware of what's going on. But his team is definitely the ones that are at the forefront of what we're doing with the academy.
Got you. So just to fast forward a little bit into the future, where do you see HBCU Con in 5 years? And what roles do you want to play for the community?
Oh, wow. That's a great question. Definitely bigger and better. We feel like this first product that we're rolling out is definitely going to be something talked about, and it's going to be just a really great event overall. But we figure in 5 years we can grow it, branch off other aspects of it, maybe even other sports as well, which would be really dope because there's so many HBCU athletes who we believe have the chance to make it to the next level, not just in basketball, but in other sports as well. So that's just something that we'd really look to do. And hell, in 5 years, we love if it's a household name. You know, people here at HBCU Con, and they know what's up. They know that it's going to be something that brings together all the top basketball players and, you know, hopefully some other athletes as well. And they'll be looking forward to it. You know, we're doing it. You mentioned the community. This is something definitely for the community. We want as much community involvement as possible. HBCUs were built off the backbone of the community. And that is something that we want to see continue. And, you know, can't get anywhere without the community. It takes a village. So we're looking to just work it all together, make this something that's great for the city of Winston-Salem. I'm a Ram, so always want to big up Winston-Salem State and things of that nature. But all the HBCUs and all the communities that represent those HBCUs as a whole, we're just looking to make a big tie-in there.
Sounds good. Sounds good. I love what y'all are doing, everything with the event and how you're curating everything. So staying on the topic of the community, do you guys plan on having any charities, doing any philanthropic work or starting scholarships or anything?
Oh, for sure. So the HBCU Con is actually being run through TLS Foundation, which is our non-charity branch. I mean, excuse me, our nonprofit branch, not non-charity. So we're definitely looking to make donations to various entities, mainly the schools. And then the word community is an interesting word too, because one of our partners on this is a company called Community, CX Community. They're an esports company, and they do a ton of work in the community, helping bring HBCU students into the fold of esports, as well as those kids in the community that may not realize the business of esports. So they're working with us on that as well. And then HBCU Game Day, who is at the forefront of everything HBCU culture. They are mainly in sports, but anything HBCU culture, they're right there at the pinnacle of it. And they'll be working with us as well. And their tie-ins to the community are just awesome. So we have a really good team in place to really make this thing happen. You know, the Chris Paul Academy is definitely rooted in the community, as well as Chris himself and everything that he's been doing with HBCUs and with the voting drive. As far back as the All-Star game that took place on Winston-Salem State's campus during the lockout season. So, you know, we have a really, really thorough, great team in place to make this thing pop.
Sounds great, man. Sounds great. I'm really looking forward to it and everything it'll bring to HBCU athletes, because I really feel like they don't get enough attention and they have a lot of talent. So it's going to be great to see in the community. Well, I appreciate y'all being on for SpecMagShorts. Once again, I'm your guest host, James Moore, and it's been real.
Spectacular Magazine. We on the scene.